Once upon a time, in a picturesque little village surrounded by rolling hills and crystal-clear streams, there lived an old lady. Her name was forgotten by time, but everyone simply called her grandmother. She was known not for her wealth or status, but for her kindness, wisdom, and an unwavering happiness that seemed to light up even the darkest days. The villagers adored her. Whenever life weighed heavy on their shoulders, they found solace in her presence. Her small house, with its blooming garden and open door, became a sanctuary for anyone seeking advice or comfort. One sunny afternoon, a young man from the village came to visit her. He was troubled, his heart burdened by worries that seemed to multiply every day. Sitting down beside her in the garden, he asked, "Grandmother, I don't understand. Why are you always so happy? No matter what happens, you never seem sad. Don't you ever feel bad when things go wrong?" The old lady looked at him with a gentle smile that seemed to carry the weight of countless lessons. "My dear," she began softly, "life is like the seasons. It is full of ups and downs. Some days are bright and sunny, while others bring storms and shadows. But I've learned something important. True happiness comes from inside, not from what happens around us." The young man furrowed his brow in confusion. "What do you mean? How can you be happy when bad things happen?" The old lady's smile deepened and her voice became tender as she began to share her story. "When I was young, I had a family, a loving husband and beautiful children. We weren't rich, but we were happy. Every day I felt like the luckiest woman alive. But one day my husband fell ill. We didn't have enough money for the medicine he needed. We tried everything we could, but—" Her voice wavered, and for a moment the light in her eyes dimmed. "He passed away. It was the saddest day of my life." The young man leaned in closer, his heart heavy with empathy. "I cried and cried," she continued, "and I thought I would never be happy again. My world felt like it had ended." "But," the young man interjected softly, "you found happiness again?" The old lady nodded. "After some time, I realized something. Being sad all the time wouldn't bring my husband back. My children needed me. They needed my strength, my love, and I needed to find a way to live again. To be happy, not just for them, but for myself." "How did you do it?" the young man asked, his voice filled with wonder. "Every morning," the old lady explained, "I would wake up and tell myself, 'Today is a new day. I will find something to be happy about.' Some days it was hard, but I always found something, even if it was small. Perhaps the sun was shining, or a flower had bloomed, or I heard the laughter of my children. There is always something to be thankful for." The young man was silent, absorbing her words. But then he asked, "What if something really bad happens? How can you still be happy?" The old lady's eyes twinkled with quiet strength. "It's not easy," she admitted, "but I remind myself of one truth. Everything passes. Even the darkest nights give way to dawn. When bad things happen, I tell myself, 'This too shall pass.' And then I focus on the good things I still have, my health, my friends, or simply the fact that I am alive. Happiness is a choice. We can choose to dwell on the bad and be miserable, or we can choose to seek out the good and be happy. It's not always easy, but it's always possible." The young man sat back, his heart lighter, his mind clearer. "Thank you, grandmother," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "I'll try to live like you." From that day on, the young man began to practice what he had learned. Each morning, he searched for something to be grateful for. Slowly but surely, his outlook on life changed. Even when difficulties arose, he found ways to stay positive, to find joy in the small things. As the young man's life transformed, he shared the old lady's wisdom with others. Her story spread throughout the village, inspiring people to see life through a new lens. They learned that happiness was not about wealth, success, or perfect circumstances, but about perspective, a choice to focus on the good. And so, the village became a happier, more harmonious place. All thanks to the old lady, whose quiet wisdom taught them the greatest lesson of all. Happiness is not something we wait for. It's something we create.